Tonight on the Reno show, design guru Jen is back with some styling secret for pendant lighting. Hume Doors update the entry to a home office with this year's hottest trend. Rowan has a quick tip for patching walls. Patricia will be back with us to break down how to incorporate feng shui into your yard. And Chloe from the Greenery Sydney is sharing how to care for your stunning chain of hearts. And see the results of my latest renovation. In a renovation or a home makeover, to inject style is a good one, and it's exactly what we're doing right here, right now. We're going to transform this quite dull hallway space into a complete pop of power with Hume's new Frontier barn door system. Wait till you see what we have in store for you. But I must say, I give most things a crack, but when I checked out this space, there's very little level about this area. So I'm completely hands off, leaving this one to the pros. I can't wait to see what it looks like when we're done. And there we have it, another project complete. I want to dispel a little bit of a myth here. So many people think that you can only be using barn doors and the rail system when you have a really country, rustic or sort of warehouse urban field home. But these barn door systems, so it's a new system from Hume Doors called the Frontier system, they've been incorporated with quite a traditional or even classic Hampton profile door. So when you're thinking about updating your doors, or when you're thinking about changing things up a little bit, make sure that you keep your sights lateral, make sure you think outside the box, and just imagine what you could achieve combining a barn door system with your favourite profile door. And check out the result, the perfect pop of style and pizzazz for this dull hallway space. Loving the Frontier system. What a winner, Hume Doors.
Here we are, we're in the corner of the living room, and as you can see up here, a bit of wear and tear. We've had a picture hanging up here.
This isn't wear and tear, Rowan. This is pure neglect, I reckon.
Well, far be it from me to argue with that.
No, see, my prediction here is that someone hasn't put a picture up. They've maybe used some blue tack that's maybe been there for a little bit too long. Blue tack is amazing.
It's okay.
As long as
after.
Yeah. So when it's been there for a really long period of time and it gets removed without care, you can often remove it as well as not just the paint, but the paper on the top of the gyprock.
Yeah.
Which
taken
means
the whole thing off.
It has literally torn it off.
And you can't just paint over that because you'll see that. So we've got to skim coat that and sand it back and make it all nice and flush. So
let's get to it then.
We will do that. And
done.
Stay tuned.
Alright, so the first thing I want to do is get rid of all this loose paint. So get in there with a good paint scraper and get rid of all the loose pieces. There's naturally going to be a bit of an edge left on that. And so you want to get a sanding block or sandpaper, give it a light sand up to start with, and then dust all that off to make sure there's no loose pieces left. Now I'm actually using a Selly's product here, a spack filler. Gotta love a good old spack filler. And so then we go, make sure we're proud, so make sure we're wider than the actual patch, and we patch across. Now I'm sure there's an absolute way that a qualified painter or plasterer would do this, but these products are made for all of the DIY world and they're relatively foolproof. So we go over it, we'll let it dry. It's a quick drying filler, so it dries I think in 30 minutes. We'll be able to sand it off, ready for a paint. I'm joined here now with Jen from Interiors Attic. Welcome, Jen.
Thanks for having me.
Pleasure. Now, Jen, there are so many amazing pendant lights. Like, check out these ones.
So cool.
We have like a canopy of flowers and patterns and colour and gorgeousness above us.
Yep. And yet, everyone seems to just go for downlights.
What is that?
Automatically. I don't know. I think it's like everyone decided that was the modern thing a couple of decades ago. And now it's like, let's only have downlights. And it drives me mad because there's so many beautiful pendants.
Exactly. And it's really only addressing like ceiling lighting. It's not thinking about eye level lighting or knee or thigh level lighting when you do that. And so often people put down lights over their breakfast bars or over their kitchen benches. Like, that's a no-brainer. But there are actually some epically cool ways that I want us to share with everyone that we can use pendants.
Yes, and they are a bit like jewellery. So they can be like cool finishing layer
They
jewelry.
are so like jewellery. So where's your first one?
I think they're great instead of lamps to have one either side of your bed head.
Do you know what? I'm going to go one step further in the opulent world. I love it over the middle of the bed if you have a high enough ceiling. That's a bit cool.
Yeah, very luxury.
It is a bit luxury. What's your next one?
I think they can look really cool. So like in your living space, but in like a back corner and hang them lower to create
chest
some kind
height?
to create that kind of beautiful mood lighting in there.
I like it. Naturally over a dining table to anchor the space, as long as you are certain you're not going to be moving that dining table.
Yes, and it's a big call to make, isn't it?
It is a huge call nowadays with open plan living. We can move our dining tables around, and so we need to be certain that it's not budging.
It's in the middle.
I love it when people use them in bathrooms when they take them down to a low voltage.
Yeah, because bathrooms are so often like badly lit in that they're so harsh, and you know these days we want to relax in a bathroom, have like this sanctuary feel. Yeah,
it's a spa feel now, not just to scrub and get out.
They don't want hospital lighting.
Hospital lighting is appealing to nobody.
That's it. Something a bit lower and moodier.
And you know another place that pendants aren't used enough in our country? Outdoors.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they can look great outdoors.
They can look great outdoors. And there are even ones that come on a fixed rod rather than a chain, so you don't have to worry about swing.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Oh my gosh. So that's like over 5. I can't even count them now. Yep. Over 5 ways that we can use pendant lighting. And there are some amazing pendants available. Inside, outside, fabric, bespoke.
Chandeliers,
yes,
beaded, glass. I mean,
timbers, stones, you name it, we have it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, what would be a challenge that you would throw out to everyone?
Just think about at least in one room in your home trying to use an amazing statement pendant instead of just automatically going for downlights.
So there we have it. Challenge, a double dare even from Jen from Interiors Addicts. Find one room in your home, and even if you just imagine and shop online for what possibly you could use other than downlights for a beautiful statement pendant in that room. It's done.
Yeah.
Comment below. Make sure you let us know what you've ended up doing.
Okay, we're back. Episode 2. Last episode we spoke about the research required before going out into the market and purchasing a property. This time we're going to put some rubber on the road. Let's talk about what you saw from the outside of this cracking little renovation that you did that immediately rang some alarm bells for you in the renovation process.
Well, they weren't alarm bells, I don't think. I think they were more like opportunity, opportunity, opportunity.
Love it!
You know, they were obviously things that might have been alarm bells to other people, and there was absolutely a handful of them, and they were really obvious to me. They weren't even cloaked. They were very obvious, but they were very exciting. So there was some big bad things that I saw about this property when I got there.
So let's tick some of those. What's the biggest one? Because I know one looking at the outside photos straight away. I don't know if it's going to be the same one you pick. What was it?
It was a huge asbestos roof.
Bang. Straight up. There we go. Boom.
Yeah. And look, that isn't a game changer from the fact that it's dangerous, because it was intact, it was highly functional. So from a functionality perspective, no need to change that roof. From a buyer's perception perspective in our market in Australia, immediate turn off.
That's right.
And so from a saleability perspective, I knew straight up that needed to go.
So that's a cost you see from the street.
From the street.
Straight away.
Straight
Before you
up,
even go
that went into my
inside and
numbers.
look at anything or look under the house or any of that stuff.
Yep.
From the street, you know you've got an asbestos roof, so you're going straight away, there's something for my budget that I need to account
Completely. There was like, for me, I think that was $9.5K.
Yep.
That I needed to have in there no matter what.
Yep.
So there were a couple of big key things I noticed on my first inspection that absolutely dictated my numbers off the bat. So first was the asbestos roof. The second was that under the house, and yes, you've got to get under the house.
We've spoken about this on the Reno show. If you haven't watched, then you should check in and find
That's
out.
all right. Under the house, it was wet and it hadn't rained for weeks. So it was wet under the house, which told me that I had issues inside with water. There was a tree stump in the front yard that literally, if you and I tried to hug it on either side, we wouldn't have made it
Huge.
around.
It's huge.
Absolutely huge. It could have been a dining table.
Yep.
So that was going to be a huge expense to get out, and all the driveway was lifted from the roots. So they were two big things in there. The next big thing that I noticed was that none of my stormwater was connected. I had stormwater, it had dried up, it wasn't working, so none of my stormwater was connected back to the road, and I sloped away from the road. So there were four of the things that immediately I started to tally up what those expenses needed to be taken care of before I even looked inside the house, before I thought about anything else.
Okay, but it's important to note too that those, you might think off the top of your head that those are big ticket items, and they are in a lot of people's budgets, or in anyone's budget. Like $9,000 to do a roof straight away, $9,500, that's a big tick item.
Absolutely.
But to realise that the potential in the property to make that money back plus some, the market will meet.
Yeah.
And that's all based on your research, people. So
correct.
Research.
Can't stress it enough.
Don't go in expecting to win straight away because these things take time.
That's another good learn.
Yep. And so your first one's never going to be your dream one. But as you get more and more accustomed to doing these renovations, then you'll get more street smart about the one you pick.
I like it.
Yeah.
And it's about it being a numbers game. At this point, when you first go to view a property, you've done your research, it's actually an observation and numbers game, nothing else.
And don't be frightened by some of these things because they don't immediately put a slash through your potential to purchase and renovate.
Absolutely not. Because you know what? The asbestos roof would have warned off so many other buyers that it was just an opening for me.
That is a great example too.
Stormwater. People would have gone, oh my gosh, the stormwater. Opening for me. And opportunity for me.
Yeah, taking these things that are potentially a negative thing for other people and flipping them to be a positive thing for you. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Because we add value when we do that.
That's exactly correct. So listen, learn from the master, ladies and gentlemen.
Plant of the Day with Chloe from the Greenery Sydney. I'm here with Chloe today with a delightfully surprising, unusual succulent, I hear.
It is a succulent.
What is this?
This is a Ceropegia woodii,
or
commonly known as a chain of hearts.
It is beautiful, and it literally is. Like, this is literally a pile of beautiful little, they're like a little pad, aren't they? They're a heart pad, and they're on a gorgeous chain.
They are, they're beautiful. So you can also get this variety in a lighter pale white, variegated variety, which is also very pretty.
Now, these obviously would be great trailing. So where are you finding people are mostly using these?
Hanging on shelves, in baskets, hanging planters.
And so this is obviously, it's long, but it's young. Do these bush out more?
They can. So what you would do is take one of the long vines and wrap it on the soil around. So you coil it round and then they'll multiply and run out.
Now that is a top tip. And so is this similar to a normal succulent in regard to watering? So I'm assuming overwatering and drainage?
Yeah, definitely needs drainage. It needs that same succulent cacti soil.
Okay.
And watering probably once a week during the hotter months, and then really not watering much over the winter.
So if we had this in a hanging basket outside in sun, it would be okay?
No.
Okay, no. That was a flat no.
So it can do bright light, but it's a little bit different with other succulents that in that bright direct sunlight isn't going to be ideal.
Okay. So bright light, maybe through a filtered window.
Perfect.
Maybe under like a pergola or under a structure outside.
Yeah, definitely.
But never hanging in full sun outside.
No.
All right. I'm going to give this one a bash. I really like it.
Good.
Hey everyone, and welcome back, Patricia.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking today about all things feng shui in regard to the front facade of your house and your front door, which we all know, well, you taught me, is the mouth to your home, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's think about whether we're trying to sell a house, whether we're trying to renovate the front of a house, or if we're even going to build new. What are some of the things we need to think about in regard to, you know, the front facade of the house?
So the very first thing is you want to really, when you're arriving at your house, you want to feel positive. So you want it to be easy to access, easy to find. Oh my God, like...
I don't have a house number.
I was just going to say, do you have a house number? Do you have a house number? Is the postman going, where the hell is this house?
Where do I bring the checks to?
Exactly. Or even if you don't have a number, do you have a name on your house? Like, is it easy to get in? Is there parking? Is there like all like rubbish or bins or junk at the front driveway? Is there plants? Like, even when you park, once you park, how does it feel coming in? Are there weeds? Is it looked after? You know, a house and an entrance that is tended for, people feel better. So when you're walking,
when you see a weed, what do you think from a feng shui perspective?
From a feng shui perspective, I would just feel like there's stuff kind of like happening that we can't see on the underlying, and there's like problems or issues and
festering, maybe
issues, and the thing is, it's also that sense of like that kind of there's a stress, because it's like you come out and you see the weeds and you're just like, oh my God. So the minute you get out of your car to come into your house,
it's not great for your energy.
It's not good for your energy. And like one of the things when you're coming in, you want to make sure that it's like if there's a bit of a flow to your front door.
There's a passage or a journey.
So you come in, you've got like maybe some flowers, maybe even like a welcome sign, a number. It's really very unobstructed. So you want an open front entrance that is really inviting. And you come home to your front door and you're like, I'm so happy to be home. Here's our beautiful door. Here's some lovely flowers
and it's smiling at you.
And it's smiling at you. Yeah. And you feel uplifted when you get to your front door. And then in terms of like looking at that entrance, is the front door clean? Like, does it look neat and tidy? Excuse me.
It's all good. Is my front door neat and tidy? Maybe coming here at Reno cough.
Well, in terms of like, I have done houses like that. We worked with a lot of houses that need to be sold.
Yes.
And you get to the front door and the door is all like cracks, or the paving is all cracked and there's like weeds, and you're like, this house isn't cared for. But you see those cracks, and imagine a new owner, a new buyer, someone who's a potential buyer comes to the door, they see all cracks. They think the house is cracked. Like, they will see these things, and
it seeds the plant, you know.
It seeds it all.
It seeds the, what aren't I seeing? If this is what I can see, what aren't I seeing? Yeah. But also, you know what I often find? If I go away, like at an event or on tour or something, and I come back 4 days later, what I see as I enter my house epically affects my mood. For sure. Unbelievably. Yeah. If I come home and someone hasn't taken the bins around, or, you know, there's left cardboard out the front, or there's soccer boots everywhere. It's not that I don't want signs of life. However, I want to enter my home feeling open and fulfilled, not stepping over things.
For sure.
And it's amazing that one of the things I really noticed is weeds. Whenever I'm away, I notice that when I come home, there will be weeds in the crack in the footpath on the way to the house. There's an insight into my house.
There you go.
And I am absolutely compelled. I have to take them out before I can get to my front door. I'm unable to step over them.
Yeah. And then the thing is, that becomes like, sometimes like people keep seeing it but they don't take action, and that's also going to be compounding your stress, because it's not necessarily, you're still feeling that stress of it, but you're not actually really allowing it. And another really important thing when it comes to entrances is actually using the front entrance. So one of the big things I've seen, and I remember vividly doing one house when I came to the driveway, I came up to the driveway and I get to the front door and there's like cobwebs, there's dead plants, there's like
dead plants.
A broken little, the welcome sign was even broken. It was just, the door was, all the paint was like chipping off the front door, and it just felt like so unloved and so untended for. And
it would have been hurting.
It was really hurting. But the interesting thing was, when the owners came back, they had built a small a kind of a canopy so they could drive in over it, and they weren't using their front door, which happened to be their prosperity area. But the lady kept saying, my house is like a hospital, my house is like a hospital. And they did have a child that wasn't very well, and when you walked in that side back door, basically you came in and saw all the medical equipment. So the first thing that she saw was all the medical equipment. She did
every day,
every single day. So it was like ingraining into her. And like the thing is, it was only a small area of medical equipment. The rest of the house was not like a hospital, but this is what she kept seeing. So it's like,
and kept thinking,
and kept seeding. And rather than let me come into my beautiful entrance, you see this beautiful entrance, this beautiful huge foyer that was so stunning and gorgeous pictures in it, but it was not being used and it was being ignored. So the other part of that is using the front door. As we said at the beginning, you said it's your mouth. It's like the mouth. If you think about your house as like a person, it's the mouth. So that's where the energy all comes in and how you feed
it. The food, the water, the nutrients, everything.
So the house was literally being starved by them not using the front door. So, and obviously all the stuff around it was dead and their energy was really, really flat as well. So since then they have like painted their front door, they put lovely plants, they put really nice pots outside, and they really got the message, because when I walked around they saw it and they were like, oh my God, and they were like, that represents what's going on for us in our lives. And your house is a mirror
in
what's happening in the house.
What's happening in your house. So there you go, guys. Whether you're renovating, whether you're building, because it's really important, I guess, to think about flow, to think about access, to think about ease, and also realistically, like sometimes stuff needs maintenance. So if you're building or renovating, always be conscious of how much maintenance what you're creating is going to need. Because neglecting and not doing that maintenance will affect your energy as well.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you so much, Patricia.
Thank you.
Next time on The Reno Show, Rowan and I will break down how to pitch a roof and how it can impact your entire renovation. The interior of my latest renovation will finally be revealed, and I will show you how to style your coffee table and so much more.